Welcome back to the Real Estate Agent School. I have a exciting video for you, but bad news, unfortunately, that this video was supposed to be a live interview with Ken Purdy, the one and only, the door knocker. And sadly, the video did not come through or the audio for the entire interview. And so I will be recapping what we talked about and how the interview went in the meantime until we are able to re-record a new one and get you that recording. So stay tuned for how the conversation went with Ken, his door knocking approach, his thoughts on becoming an agent, and what real estate agent life is truly like for those in the business currently and for those hoping to become an agent in the near future. So I recently had the opportunity to interview Ken Purdy. He is a real estate agent and has been one for the last 13 years knocking doors. Over the last 13 years, he has sold 90 million in volume and has pretty much coined the name the door knocker. He has the saying opportunity knocks, and he has one heck of a personality for just how hard he works and his work ethic. I loved chatting with Ken because his differences in his approach to door knocking. It was really cool to hear about what he does different than me and how it still works. And so the first thing that I want to recap for you is what he does different and why it's still successful. So for example, Ken, when he knocks the door, is only on the door for probably 40 seconds, which is insane to me. It blows my mind. The reason this is the way it is because when he's having a conversation, the only thing he cares about is having a quality conversation, really just asking when that person is planning on moving. The reason he believes this, or the reason he does this, is because of the turnover ratio of the neighborhood. He knows that within a year's time, this specific neighborhood will have X amount of homes sell based on data. Statistically, X amount of homes turn over every single year. And if he can be the agent in communication with those homeowners, he will get that deal. So what I have been preaching for the longest time now, that it is a numbers game, has once again been proven by Ken Purdy. Obviously, trial by fire, he's done it for a long time. It works. So if you want to be successful in door knocking, go knock. It's a numbers game. You cannot lose even if you are the worst salesperson and have a horrible script. If you just make friends with people, you will get business. It's just a matter of time. So that's his approach to door knocking, which I think is incredible. I love the way he goes about it. But what I enjoyed most about this interview was his thought process around what it takes to become a real estate agent and what it's like when you are a real estate agent. So we got into the conversation of when an agent reached out to him and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting my license," what he says to that person. I thought this was really interesting because he actually pretty much says don't. And the reason for this is because a lot of people just think, I'm going to tell my friends and family, I'm an agent, I'm going to sell a bunch of homes, and I'm going to whip around in a Mercedes. That's obviously not how this business works. The opportunity is insane. Obviously, being a real estate agent has incredible perks, but that is not how this business works, sadly. And so we talked about really the downsides as well as the pros of becoming a real estate agent and how it can be really hard sometimes. For example, we got into the emotional side of becoming a real estate agent. When you're first licensed and you don't really know what's going on, it can be really stressful and hard to succeed. And that's why a majority of agents fail. Little quick side note, that's honestly why I post these videos. My whole mission is to help real estate agents succeed. And so when they get licensed, they're not just lost in the middle of nowhere. And so actually stay tuned for future videos because I have a massive announcement around this that I'm really excited to share with you. But anyways, back to Ken. We talked about how when a new agent is struggling and pretty much has to make ends meet, real estate can be really emotionally challenging. You're working late hours, you're having people wanting you to work when you're with your family, on vacation, doing something you want to be doing, and you are setting your own schedule, but Not really. So navigating all of this is challenging, but there are really big pros, obviously. Becoming an agent allows you to set your own schedule. And so if you can time block, if you can have work-life balance, it can be amazing. We also talked about how the entrepreneurial journey of a real estate agent is one of the toughest, and that is because of the relationship with the client and the service provided. I want to give you a quick example of something we talked about that really hit home. When you're a real estate agent and you're not prepared for the first time that somebody pretty much uses you and then doesn't use you, it can be extremely frustrating and emotionally damaging. For example, if you're working with a client, you're sending them homes, you're helping them, running an analysis on things for them, and pretty much doing a ton of work for them up front, and then a week later, they go buy a home with somebody else. Obviously, you have to protect yourself with a buyer broker, and if you don't, this is your fault. But even then, you can still be working with somebody and helping them out without really getting into the nitty gritty and signing a buyer broker or anything like that. And then they go use somebody else. That's really challenging to overcome emotionally. And so preparing yourself as an agent for times like this, when you do experience rejection, when you do experience pretty much betrayal in a sense, you have to be able to come out of that slump and continue to push forward. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that truly understand the work that goes into finding a client, cultivating that client, winning that client's business, and then closing a property for that client. Pretty much the timeline is huge. For example, you could be working every single day prospecting for hours just to put in enough work to find a client 6 months from then that will then close eight months later or 2 months later. So we're almost a solid year in just to cultivate one client. So if that client that you've been working on for a long time ends up not buying or ends up going with a different agent, it can be absolutely brutal. And so to sum all of this up, what we talked about and what Ken was sharing is having the resilience and the drive and your why rock solid is extremely, extremely important as a real estate agent. For example, in the beginning, we had similar whys. He was pretty much in a situation where he had to make it work and pull himself out of a dark time that he put himself in. I personally, when I started, was in a similar situation. I had to make it work because my back was up against a wall and I was either going to get out of real estate or make it happen. Eventually, our whys have evolved into different motivation. Obviously, my why now is to be able to give back to real estate agents so they don't have to go through what I did. They can learn what they need to know to go into the business as an absolute pro and really, really confident in what they're doing. And so as a real estate agent, if you're new, if you're a veteran in the business but still struggling, this is why I have these interviews. This is why I have this channel. This is why I have the Real Estate Agent School. It is to teach you the core topics of how to become a successful real estate agent and be happy doing it. I teach pretty much everything under the sun, and I cannot wait to share with you some of the exciting things that I'm about to release for your benefit and for, honestly, you just to excel and crush it as a real estate agent. That is my new why. I'm here to help agents really reach the next level so they can experience what I have with my life. And so, like I promised, me and Ken will hop on another call. I'm going to get you a live interview and it's going to be awesome, just like our previous one was. Sadly, it didn't go through, but to recap, work hard. It's a numbers game. Be prepared for rejection, but also be prepared for the pros of being a real estate agent that can absolutely change your life. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, leave me a comment. Let me know what other content I can create for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach me at realestateagentschool.co or on my Instagram at CameronYourOfficial. And I will see you in the next video.